Hello, Wax. Yeah, so we're talking about Mistborn, the Ally of Law today, and I know I was supposed to do this like 2 months ago, I think. Let me check my Goodreads right now. 2 months ago exactly, I finished this book, so it has definitely been a long time coming, and at this rate, I'm gonna finish Words of Radiance tomorrow. So sorry if you're reading along. To the one person out there that was doing it, you have my utmost apologies. So, like I said, it's been about 2 months, and I really needed the Wikipedia summary just to kind of re-jog my memory, because right now I'm all on Roydion and everything, and it was hard getting back like the Mistborn world and everything. But first I want to start off by saying that if you were like me, you read the first era of Mistborn, and that I read it like 10 plus years ago. I think there's only one or two of the second era books out, and then you're like, you see the second era books, you see the cover, and you're like, I don't really want like a westerny steampunk type era. I like fantasy, and I'm gonna keep it that way. And I gotta say, I was really surprised by how much I love the jump in technology and just the setting and everything. It's been a long time since I've read first era Mistborn, but man, I just really enjoyed this era and the world building, the set, and what happened. It's like 300 years after the first era, and I was surprised. So if that's your main hesitation for not reading era 2 of Mistborn, throw it out the door. Like, it's not. I was one of those people. Go read it. It was a great time. I think Sanderson really gets his sense of humor here with his Wax and Wayne, and I just love. I won't say that right now because it'd be a very minor spoiler, but this is a spoiler-free zone where we just talk about overarching things of the book. This was a very easy read. I think. Hold on, gotta go back to the Goodreads. I read it in 4 days. I listened to it, which honestly, if you can read or listen to audiobooks a lot, that's a long time. You could easily, I think it's like maybe 12, 13 hours. You can get through this book very fast compared to like his other works in Stormlight, where it takes like a month to get through one book. But very easy, a fun read. One thing also, I've been thinking about this, mulling it over in my head. I just don't know if it's like the non-Sanderson Reddit and what people think on Reddit. But I went in, if you're new here, welcome. But this is my first time going through the Cosmere, which is Brandon Sanderson's like big world, interlocking, overarching story. Ooh, everyone loves it. This is my first time going into the Cosmere. And before I got into this big read, I've read like, I read Mistborn First Era. I don't remember much of what happens. I had to watch a few refresher videos because I didn't have the credits to get first era and keep on, sort of a schedule. So I just kind of rewatched, watched an hour-long recap of what happened. And then along with that, I also read the Reckoners series, which I think is more of a YA, but I still enjoyed it. It was a good read. There's kind of this opinion, I think, online where people think of Sanderson as like, the good. I don't want to say goody two shoes, but like he's like, he's not as dark as Martin or other grimdark authors. And I'm just really coming to see that. Yeah, he might not go into as much like gory detail or extrapolate it as much, but he does talk about heavy hitting topics and like dark stuff, especially in this one. Like one of the motives for the bad guys, very messed up, and I like I said, coming into that, I thought, nah, he wouldn't tackle it, and you'll see this in the vlog. But I'm like, he went, and he full on tackled that whole situation. I'm not gonna say too much because spoiler free, but yeah, I was surprised, and I think it was good that I had kind of that preconceived notion, like taken out, because I think it does limit you if an author's like, he only stays to lighthearted stuff, doesn't really talk about like the deep subjects, yeah, I mean, they're good in his own part, but then you kind of put them in a box to what they could be, and I was happy that, nope, I put Sanderson in this box, and he did not deserve to be in it. Let's kind of go into the blog. This is where I'm recording my reactions for my first time listening to it, so we'll see you on there. I'm a lot more knowledgeable in the past. Oh my god, my mustaches are falling apart. Catch you in a little bit.
Just started the Alloy of Law, and I gotta say, that prologue is, how you make me care about a character right off the bat. Sanderson had some good prologues, especially the prologue from A Way of Kings with oh gosh, what I'm drawing with the assassin in white. But yeah, that was an interesting prologue. You just Mrx, is it Wax? I think it's Wax. Yeah, because she said she was playing cards with Wayne or something like that. Either one, just murdering his love interest right off the bat. Man, that'll make you feel some stuff for a character. So here we go. So finishing chapter 3, it ends with Wax praying, and I think that the earring he has is like one of those memory storages, that like Sai I read the first books, the first Mistborn trilogy, so I don't know exactly how to pronounce it, but I think those are gonna be the memory storages, so each one has like a little memory storage of him in there, and that's how he's like hearing the voices. It taps into some memory or something like that. And then it talks about like the faceless people, and that's I think those are the shapeshifters from the first era. They, don't remember, I think it started with a K. Don't remember off the top of my head. My brain's saying Kenku, but that's a D&D race, so I know that's not it. But yeah, I think that's he talks about like one of the faceless people that serves Harmony, which is Say's, whatever. So I think that they're like the shapeshifters, and they have the copper. Is it copper? No, they have the metal stores. I don't remember what, probably gold, but yeah, I think that's the tenets behind them, is they have the memory stuff in there. So I wish I said this before chapter 4, which is when they go to the ball, the wedding, not the ball, but the wedding reception and everything. And as soon as like they brought in Mrxfix with the other two, like the people that Wax is supposed to be, I'm like, oh man, he's gonna end up falling in love with Mrxfix. That's just, that's how these books happen. And I wish I would have said that before, because 100% after this chapter, they're getting together. 60%, we'll say. I'll throw 70. Well, I'll throw a little bit in there for doubt. Maybe Wayne swoops her off her feet. I doubt it, but yeah, I think that's gonna be a good match right there. Just finished chapter 4, and I gotta say I'm enjoying this book so far. I'm excited to see where it goes. One thing I like about moving from kind of thicker books to these smaller ones, I mean, it's still 11 hours, is that stuff happens really fast. That's nice. Good change of pace. So in chapter 7, it's when Mrxfix goes to Wax's mansion, and they talk, and they kind of start to figure out the plot. And I thought that might be where it's going a few minutes before it happened, and I'm like, no way Sanderson's gonna have these women being kidnapped to, But it was. I was kind of surprised. I didn't think that was gonna be on the table. So yeah, hopefully they can. I hope they save them. And then I think Mrxfix, who is so adamant that her cousin is not an Allomancer, is an Allomancer. She's like, oh, I know for sure, promise you she's not an Allomancer, because I'm an Allomancer and I would know it. So I think that's going to come on later in the book. So just finished the first half of chapter 11, right? Yeah, chapter 11, where we have the first point of view from Miles, and then his patron, Mr. Suit. What do we know about Mr. Suit? Well, my prediction is that he is... I'm not completely confident about it, but I think he might be Wax's uncle, because we found out Wax's uncle mysteriously disappeared. He lost his family a lot of money, and along with that, if he wanted to, get the butler, the longtime butler of Wax to, to convince him to be on his side, he would have had years to do it and like plan out and everything. And Mr. Suit says he didn't give up, like, what do you say? He didn't give up the luxury of life, but just the titles. So I think he staged his own death or some way, and now he is running this criminal organization, and that's where all the funds went, is they went to him planning out this criminal organization, not just him dying and, you know, blowing the money away, because we don't know what he lost the money on, because he was really good at gambling apparently. So I think that Mr. Suit is in fact Wax's uncle. And there it is, Mrxfix is an Allomancer. So I'm not quite sure how advanced the technology is here. I mean, obviously they have automobiles and everything like that, but how I would go about robbing those trains is, I don't know if there's a way to like cut underneath. Well, I guess you would infiltrate the train car that was holding stuff. You can put a metal that another Allomancer can sense and put it like a screw or something on top of where they need to be. Well, Allomancer could go underneath the train when it stopped, mark it, and then I don't know if they have a way like to drill out, or like, you know, I don't know if they have something to cut through the bottom of the train. I don't know if they have like that power yet in this world. And then you could just like weld it back together once you got all the contents out and everything. That's kind of how I was thinking. I don't think the world's that technologically advanced yet to have something that can cut metal like that without destroying the whole piece of metal. And then, because that's the crux, is you have to put it back to make it look like it vanished. Kind of like, you know, a disappearing floor trick for a magician or something like that, vanishing. So that's my thoughts. Don't know where they're at technology wise, so that's probably way off. And then Mrxfix is very adamant that her ability is not going to be useful. So my guess is she's going to be in the room with like the bad guy, either the suit, Mr. Suit, or why am I drawing blank, or the other Miles, and she'll use it to slow down time, and that way they can, you know, move around and like do stuff, Wax and Wayne. Or maybe, I just thought of this, maybe there could be a bomb in a room and she slows down time there. And since she can't move the bubble, I don't know if she can leave it. Could you like throw a rope, like lasso someone that's in a slow bubble and pull them out? Then the bomb doesn't go off its head? I don't know. That's just me off the top of off the dome. All right, so just finished Alloy Law, and I think it was a very good book. Want to come off to say that. Want to say when I first finished the first era Mistborn, I think maybe Alloy Law was out in maybe book 2. I don't know what it's called. I'll get there. But they were out, and I saw it was like not a fantasy era. It was more, you know, Victorian, early, you know, technology, early industrial revolution. And I'm just like, that's not for me. And I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed this setting. Wax and Wayne are great characters, and it was just a very enjoyable book. Now, coming from where I just picked off, right into yesterday, it's kind of the whole big fight where they go in the warehouse. The train is switched out for a fake. Go in the warehouse. They kill everyone, and it was, for the most part, it was good. It was a very good scene, a very good fight. I think the push or pull, or maybe both of them were using Antium, because he like dodged a bullet like that was super hard to dodge, and Wax is just like, oh, he was lucky. No, it's probably antimanium, whatever. The secret, the body of ruin, if I remember correctly from first era. But like I said, it's been a long time, so it's been like a decade, so it's been a while. I'm not completely fresh on everything that happens there. One thing that did pull me out is after the whole fight, Mrxfix is just like, oh, it's been a day and a half. I'm like, that was just, it brought me out of the story. I'm like, you know, maybe it should have been like 4 or 5 days, I feel like, since the whole wedding robbery. And just the day and a half threw me for a loop. It felt like more days had passed since then. So maybe that's on me. But that's one thing. I'm just nitpicking, I will say, at this point. Another nitpicky thing is, I think they said the Vanishers had like 30 men left, and then it felt like they were just killing a bunch of men, and I'm like, the amount of deaths going on seems more than 30. Again, I'm not reading it, I'm listening to it, so it's very easy for me to miss those details. So again, a nitpicky thing. I think that's about it for my nitpickies, which is great. I think it flowed well. I was happy I called, you know, his uncle being Mr. Suit, whatever. I like the motivation behind, oh gosh, what's his name? Behind the rogue guy. It's believable. I don't think it's like, I wasn't like, oh, it's not like the hashtag Thanos did nothing wrong type thing, but it's like, yeah, I could see how he was like persuaded into this this religion almost, yeah, because he like shouts the old religion at the very end. So I could see that. Miles, that's his name. I could see that. I thought the whole like gold on gold thing was cool. How he like basically never died. That was a really cool thing, and how they get away with it. And I thought originally when they're fighting on the train, which would have been yesterday's reading, I'm like, oh, they can just tie 2 ropes around him, because they mentioned that he at least has metal mines like his arms and probably his feet. But I'm like, just tie some ropes around his limbs and lower him underneath the train, and they'll cut him off, and he'll probably won't be able to grow back those limbs, which have the metal mines. But that's just my own sick way of thinking about it. Was not expecting the Inquisitor at the end. I think it's Marsh. That's my guess. I did go and look back up the synopsis of the Hero of Ages, because I didn't want to just Google Marsh, because I would get spoilers if it is Marsh. And what Wikipedia didn't seem like there's any definite end to Marsh, that he just killed, was it Eland? I didn't listen to the books, I read them, so I don't actually know how that name is pronounced. So I'm going to go with it's Marsh. I think that was cool. When they talk about the face tattoos and the eyes, it was like, oh my gosh, it's an Inquisitor. And yeah, that was a cool moment coming back from Era 1. Obviously, who doesn't like Wayne and his D&D backstories for all the characters he had? That's enjoyable. And one thing I really like that I think, actually, I think the voices and characters of Wayne work better on an audiobook, because you can like hear the narrator changing his voices, and he can like change the inflection of Wayne's voice to kind of match him. And I actually think that that's something better in the audiobooks that you don't get in the regular books. So that's definitely +1. Michael Kramer did a great job for this audiobook, as he usually does. But overall, really enjoyed this book. Quick, easy listen to. I gotta finish my Way of Kings skit for video 1, then just edit down my final thoughts and everything, because obviously I'm gonna be working on this video soon, so I need to figure that out. But yeah.
So that was a lie.
Thumbs up. I'm excited for Era 2. I went in hesitant, and I am pleasantly surprised.
So there it is, Alloy of Law. Like I said earlier, fantastic book. One of the things that I wanted to say earlier is I love just how much Wayne gets into character. Almost feels like he's a character or a person playing D&D, and he just has all these characters. Kind of reminds me of later Matt Coffin, if you know Coffin. I don't know why I said Coffin. Ooh. But I think Sanderson wrote that part. So I have heard someone say that there is the Matt and Talmanis connection is kind of like Wax and Wayne. So maybe he did get some inspiration from that. But either way, I love Wayne as a character. He has a great comedic relief and just all around enjoyable. I like Wax is kind of like they're your grizzled, like, I'm too old for this stuff.
He said, I'm too old for this stuff.
And I think the magic system was really cool. I didn't know how. I heard that he blended the two, and I'm not gonna remember. There's Allomancy. Is it Fair Chemi? I think. Then there's the third one that's the spikes and everything, which is not it, but the blending of the two that it is, I really enjoyed it, and I think there's a lot of cool combos that he does, and he kind of I like just how creative he can be with that, and like the bubbles of time, which weren't nowhere expected, but those were fun. And as I said, as soon as she said she had a useless power, I'm just like, yeah, of course she is gonna have in some way be part of like the last fight and play an important part. It's a big highlight that if someone's like, yeah, this is useless. That's a very obvious literary look at this type of thing. I am interested to see in the next one if it picks up almost immediately, if there is some time gap. I'm guessing, Wax doesn't want to leave those women hanging, so he's going to be moving quite the action. But I'm kind of wondering, is he going to, marry the lady, oh gosh, what's her name? Lady Steris. I wonder if he's going to keep, I'm wondering if he's going to take it. I'm interested to see. I know there is 3 more books after this, so I'm guessing that this whole thing with his uncle is going to wrap up in a book or 2, and then probably this next book, and then it'll be some new villain or some new plot. And I'm kind of excited to see where it goes from there. I'd like to see more of the world. And is it the flats? Gosh, the roughs. I don't know why I said the flats. That'd be like the shattered plane. It's all flat, right? Not really, but you get what I'm saying. Or do you? Have you read Stormlight? Comment down below if you have or have not read Stormlight. I'm working on it right now. We'll see the video soon, very soon. Hopefully. I mean, life's getting really busy, but hey, that's what we're here for. I guess at the very end, it did say he plans on carrying out the marriage, so we'll see if anything happens. I wonder if Maurice is gonna be like a side piece or something. Mrxfix is gonna be like a side piece or something. Other than that, how many boons would I give it? That is a great question. Give it 8 out of 10 boons. It was, like I said, very fun, enjoyable. I was surprised how much I enjoyed it. I didn't think I was gonna like it at first. I was kind of going in there like, we'll see. I think it's a very fun book, especially if you, as I said earlier, if you don't like, you know, big, thick 48-hour epics from audiobooks. It's a very easy read and quite enjoyable. Not a lot of exposition dump and very engaging, like quick action things and great characters, and I would highly recommend reading this book. So like I said, I am almost done with Words of Radiance. That vlog is gonna be something. It's probably gonna be a pretty long vlog because it's, like I said, a 48-hour book. So be on the lookout for that. Otherwise, let me know what other books I should be looking out for. I like to do fiction, non-fiction. So if you have any good non-fiction books that you'd recommend, leave them down in the comments below. I love to read them. I love learning about, you know, historical things, and I just think it's really interesting, and it really lends itself to like learning new stories, new things that you didn't think would happen. I think history is almost as crazy as fantasy can be. Like there's just so much crazy historical stuff that I think if you only pull from fantasy, if you're a writer, then you're kind of holding yourself back. So I'd love to hear your nonfiction books. I'm gonna go through Cosmere. Still got a long way. Thankfully, the new ones, the secret projects finally got on Audible, so I don't have to like figure out how many apps I have to download to get it, but that'll be easy. Other than that, catch you next time. Don't know what that was.